G'day and welcome to another episode of Tomo's Tune-Ups. On this episode, we're not working on the Mini or the Mazda. I'm going to show you how to bleed and top up the fluid on a trolley jack. Now the reason I'm going to show you how to bleed a trolley jack is simply because over time they can lose pressure and oil. Therefore, the trolley jack doesn't go to its full extent. So I'm going to show you a quick, easy and affordable way to change it on a regular basis. So this is my trolley jack that I've owned now for around 12 or 13 years. The reason I bought it is because it's not only blue point, but also because it is super low and gets underneath the Mini quite well. So the ground clearance is rather short. Now, as you can see, there's a couple of drops of oil over here and a couple over there. So it's likely leaking and needs to be rebuilt, but I'm gonna show you the correct way in which we're gonna bleed it. So all we're gonna do to start off with, we're gonna tighten the handle all the way until it stops. And then we're going to release the handle, 2 full revolutions. Once it's then gone to the 2 full revolutions, we're going to pump the jack 15 full pumps, tighten it back up, and then go ahead and see what it does. We're just going to pump it through there. Once you've done it 15 times, we're then going to double check it. Now, pumping it with a pressure released is going to help bleed the system, so that's our first starting point. Once it's then finished, we're then going to tighten it up and we're going to pump the jack all the way until it gets to its full extent. So now that it's reached its full extent, we're going to put it under the Mini and see if it jacks the vehicle up. So now that it's not moving, we're going to release the jack all the way down and we're going to top it up. Now the information that I'm going to give you is going to be hopefully quite generic for other types of jacks. So all we're going to do is remove this cover because underneath here there is the valve in which we're going to top it up, and that's where we're going to be bleeding it from as well. So we're going to start by removing these 4 screws, 2 on each side, and then take the cover off. So once we've taken out the 4 screws, we're then going to remove the top cap. And then as you can see in the very top here, once I get my light, there is a circlip at the top. We're going to remove that, take the top of it out, and that's how we're going to fill it up. So all we're going to do is get the pair of circlip pliers in here, and then we're going to squeeze it together, and we're going to remove it. Just make sure that it doesn't come flying out. Once you've removed the circlip, put it off to the side, then we're going to use a flat blade to undo this screw. Now make sure that when you undo this screw here, that the jack handle has no pressure on it whatsoever. We're going to remove that, and then we're going to check the condition of the oil, if it has any in there. If it doesn't, we're going to drain it and top it up. If it does have oil in there, we'll likely just top it up. And once that's unscrewed all the way, that'll just pull straight up. And you can see a little bit of fluid in there, so we're going to move the arm all the way to the top, and then we're just going to top it up with some fluid. Now the oil that we're going to be using today is a hydraulic jack oil made by Gulf Western. Now they're an Australian company and they specifically designed their product to suit Australia's tough conditions. Now this is a low viscosity oil, which means that it's going to be quite easy to use the jack without applying too much pressure, and is also designed for both bottle and trolley jacks. Now Gulf Western is available at all your Super Cheap Auto and all of the other auto parts shops as well. They're quite affordable and they have quite a large range in terms of the different oils that they make. So the good thing about this is we have a little cap at the top that'll just pull straight up, and then we can use it as a bit of a funnel. So once you've pulled it up, you then unscrew the cap and then you can pour it straight in. So you just want to be careful just not to overfill it. So you know it's full when it starts to come up to the top. So once the oil has been topped up, we're then just going to give the jack a little bit of a pump just to get rid of all the excess air that's in the system. Now, just like bleeding brakes, you want to make sure that all the air is gone out of the system as you top it up. Now, because the jack has already come up somewhat off the ground, we're then just going to top up the oil again and then keep jacking it to get rid of the rest of the air. And it's not going to matter too much if you spill it because you can always clean it up with a little bit of degreaser. So it's still bubbling away. All we're going to do there is just move the jack handle just to release any extra air that's in the system. We're not going to induce any more in there. We're only going to be removing the air by pushing the piston. So you're just going to be continuously topping it up and pumping the jack handle until all of the air stops coming out, and then you know it's bled. Now this will likely take you several attempts to get all of the air out of the system, but just keep repeating the process until there's no air left in the system whatsoever. Now you know it's completely bled when you go to pump the handle and no more air comes out of the filler tube. So all we're going to do there is, because the car is being held up by the jack, we're going to push the handle all the way forward. We're going to grab our screw, put that back in there, and then we're going to retighten it, put the circlip on, and the jack is going to be bled. Now you want to tighten that up all the way. Once it seats, you then want to release it probably about half a turn, and then we're going to put the circlip in. So just grab your circlip, squeeze it together, slide it in there. If you're not sure if it's home or not, grab a screwdriver just to make sure it'll sit in its little recess. Now I did find that the circlip inside here has actually lost its spring tension, so I need to get a new one of those, but for now it should be fine. So all we're going to do is tighten up the jack handle. We're going to give it a jack and make sure that it actually lifts the vehicle off the jack stands. That way we've confirmed we've bled all the air out of the system and that there's no further problems. And that's it. Cool. So we've actually lifted the car off the jack stands. You might not be able to see, but you could actually audibly hear it. So now all we're going to do is just lower it down and we're all done. So that's it, guys. Thanks heaps for watching another episode of Tomo's Tune-Ups, all things DIY and mechanical. Hope you guys learned something. It's probably good practice to start changing the oil on your transmission or your trolley jack, even in your hoist on a regular basis. We get our hoist serviced every 12 months, so it's probably worthwhile that maybe every second time that you change the oil in your car or even give it a buff and polish, change your oil in your jack. Now to change it, all you need to do is open the top of that valve, turn the jack upside down, get all of the fluid out, refill it and keep bleeding it until all of the air comes out. Screw the top back on and you're set. So it is quite cheap and inexpensive to change. Now I use and recommend Gulf Western oil, so it is available at any good auto parts retailer. So don't forget to like and subscribe and leave your comments in the section below for things that you want to see me do. And I'll see you next time, guys, on an episode of Tomo's Tune-Ups, all things DIY and mechanical.